What if death is not the end but a doorway, one that leads to something beyond human comprehension? Imagine this: a man dies on an operating table. For a brief moment, his heart stops, his brain flatlines. Clinically, he is gone. But when he is revived, he describes something extraordinary floating above his own body, seeing doctors work frantically, feeling a deep, overwhelming peace. He speaks of a tunnel, of radiant light, of voices calling his name. His experience is eerily similar to thousands of others throughout history, from ancient texts to modern near-death experiences. Could all of these accounts be hallucinations, tricks of a dying brain, or do they point to a deeper truth, one that science is just beginning to explore and ancient civilizations have known for millennia? Today we unravel one of humanity's greatest mysteries: what happens after death? From the wisdom of the Egyptian Book of the Dead to quantum physics' eerie implications, from the Tibetan Bardo to cutting-edge scientific studies on consciousness, we will explore startling evidence that death is not the end, but a transition. By the end of this video, you will not only gain insights into what may await beyond the veil, but also learn how this knowledge can transform the way you live your life today. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to hear might change your understanding of reality itself. Throughout history, every great civilization has grappled with the mystery of death, from the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of India, from the philosophers of Greece to the shamans of the Amazon. One question has haunted humanity: what happens when we die? The Egyptians. Over 4,000 years ago, the ancient Egyptians meticulously prepared for the afterlife. They did not see death as an end, but as a journey. According to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the soul, or Ka, would navigate a treacherous path through the Duat, the underworld, where it would face trials, monstrous entities, and the weighing of the heart ceremony. The great god Osiris, ruler of the afterlife, would place the heart of the deceased on a scale, weighing it against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth. If the heart was light, free of sin and regret, the soul would pass into the field of reeds, a paradise mirroring earthly existence. But if the heart was heavy, the soul would be devoured by Ammit, the devourer of the dead, and cease to exist. What's striking about this ancient belief is that it mirrors modern near-death experiences, the idea that one's life is reviewed, that judgment is based not on power or wealth, but on the weight of one's actions and intentions. Could the Egyptians have tapped into a universal truth, known to the soul but forgotten by modern society? The Tibetan Bardo. Thousands of miles away, the Tibetan Buddhists held a different but equally profound view of death. The Bardo Thodol, or Tibetan Book of the Dead, describes what happens in the 49 days following death. According to this ancient text, the soul enters the Bardo, an intermediate realm where it experiences vivid hallucinations, encounters divine beings, and faces a mirror of its own mind. Here, the Tibetan masters warn, the soul must detach from fear and illusion. Those who recognize the illusion of the Bardo can achieve liberation, enlightenment that frees them from the cycle of reincarnation. But those who cling to their fears, desires, and ego will be pulled back into another rebirth, trapped in the endless wheel of samsara. Astonishingly, modern reports of near-death experiences often describe similar realms, tunnels of light, encounters with beings of great wisdom, and a sense of overwhelming peace or terror depending on one's state of mind at the time of death. Could the Bardo be more than myth? Could it be a hidden reality, a phase of existence known to mystics and monks but ignored by the material world? Plato's vision. Even in the West, death was not seen as oblivion. The Greek philosopher Plato spoke of the myth of error, a vision of the afterlife that eerily aligns with Eastern teachings. In this tale, a soldier named Error dies in battle but returns to life days later with a stunning revelation: he saw souls being judged. Some were sent to the heavens for a time, others cast into suffering. Before reincarnation, all souls drank from the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, erasing their memories of past lives. But those who refused to drink too deeply could retain glimpses of their past existence, giving them wisdom in their next life. This idea that memory of past lives is real but often forgotten finds echoes in Hinduism, Buddhism, and even modern research into past life regression. The scientific parallel. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed as religious myths. But today, science is beginning to catch up. The University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies has spent decades researching children who remember past lives. Their findings? Thousands of documented cases where children recall names, locations, and events from lives they could not have possibly known. Dr. Raymond Moody, who coined the term near-death experience, NDE, documented thousands of people who experienced life reviews, tunnels of light, and encounters with mysterious beings after their hearts stopped. Dr. Eben Alexander, a Harvard-trained neurosurgeon, once dismissed NDEs as mere hallucinations until he had one himself during a coma. He returned with memories of a realm beyond space and time, a place of profound love and knowledge. Could it be that the ancients were not superstitious fools but keepers of a hidden truth that modern science is only beginning to rediscover? A thread that connects all beliefs. Though these traditions span different cultures and millennia, they share uncanny similarities: a transition phase after death, a judgment or review of one's life, the possibility of reincarnation or liberation, the importance of one's thoughts, emotions, and actions in shaping the afterlife experience. Could these be universal truths embedded in the human soul? And if so, what does this mean for how we live our lives today? What if death is not the end, but a shift, a doorway leading into an existence beyond our current perception? What if everything we have been told about reality is merely a fraction of the larger truth? To truly understand what happens after death, we must explore two powerful forces shaping our experience: consciousness and energy. The moment of death. What really happens? At the precise moment of death, something remarkable occurs. Scientists studying near-death experiences, NDEs, hospice patients, and ancient texts all point to a consistent pattern: a sudden shift in awareness. Many who have clinically died report a detachment from their physical body. They describe floating above themselves, watching their lifeless form from a new vantage point. This aligns with reports from Tibetan Buddhist monks, who claim that at death, consciousness exits through the top of the head, leaving behind the physical shell. A feeling of peace and lightness. Contrary to the fear we associate with death, many experiencers describe an overwhelming sense of peace, clarity, and freedom. It is as if the body was a heavy cloak they have finally removed. The life review. The mirror of the soul. One of the most astonishing aspects of near-death experiences is the life review. Those who have died and returned often say they saw every moment of their life, not just as an observer, but as if they were inside the minds and hearts of those they affected. If they caused pain, they felt the suffering they inflicted. If they showed kindness, they experienced the joy they gave others. This aligns with Plato's myth of air, the Egyptian weighing of the heart, and the Bardo teachings of Tibet. Could it be that in death we are forced to see ourselves without illusion, stripped of the justifications we use to excuse our actions? The tunnel and the light, the gateway to the beyond. Nearly all NDE accounts describe a tunnel, a vortex, or a passage leading to an immense, radiant light. Those who enter the light speak of a love beyond anything they have known, a wisdom beyond words. Ancient Hindu and Buddhist texts describe the clear light of the void, a luminous presence that greets the soul immediately after death. They warn that fear and attachment can pull the soul back into lower realms, while those who surrender and embrace the light can transcend. Encounters with beings of wisdom. Many who have passed through death's veil report meeting luminous beings, guides, or even deceased loved ones. Some describe them as angelic, others as ancient teachers. Could these be archetypal projections of our own consciousness? Or are they real entities waiting to guide us into the next phase of existence? The science of consciousness. Does awareness survive death? For centuries, materialist science has told us that consciousness is simply a product of the brain, that when the brain dies, awareness ceases. But now, research is challenging that belief. Case study: the skull experiment. Communicating beyond the veil. In the 1990s, a group of scientists, physicists, and engineers conducted a groundbreaking series of experiments in the English village of Skull. Over 5 years they recorded phenomena that defied logic: objects levitating, voices emerging from nowhere, and messages received from apparent non-physical intelligences. What made these experiments different? They were conducted under strict scientific conditions, with leading scientists confirming the results. The conclusion: consciousness appears to persist beyond death, operating in a reality that overlaps with our own. Quantum physics and the afterlife. The mind creates reality. Quantum mechanics, the science of the very small, suggests that the physical world is not as solid as it seems. In fact, reality may be shaped by the observer's consciousness. Robert Lanza's biocentrism theory suggests that death is an illusion, that consciousness creates the universe, not the other way around. The double-slit experiment shows that particles behave differently when observed, suggesting that mind and reality are deeply connected. Near-death experiences challenge materialist science because many occur while the brain is clinically dead. If the brain produces consciousness, how can people report clear, structured thoughts while their brain shows no activity? Could it be that the brain is not the source of consciousness, but merely a receiver, like a radio picking up a signal? If so, when the body dies, the signal does not disappear, it merely moves to another frequency, another dimension of reality. Different paths after death? A multidimensional afterlife? What happens after the life review? Ancient texts and modern accounts suggest multiple possibilities. 1. The transition to higher realms. Those who embrace love, wisdom, and self-awareness often describe moving deeper into the light. They are welcomed by luminous beings, shown vast cosmic landscapes, and sometimes merge with the universe itself. This aligns with Buddhist and Hindu teachings on moksha, the liberation from rebirth. 2. Reincarnation, returning for another life. Many traditions, from Hinduism to the teachings of Pythagoras, claim that souls return to earth in a cycle of rebirth. In this view, unresolved desires, attachments, and karma pull a soul back into physical existence. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, studied over 2,500 cases of children remembering past lives, many with verifiable details. If reincarnation is real, then life is a school, and each death is simply graduation to another lesson. 3. Becoming lost, the realm of wandering souls. Some texts warn of souls who resist the transition. In the Tibetan Bardo, these are spirits caught in illusions, unable to move forward, trapped by fear or unfinished business. Many ghost encounters and paranormal phenomena may stem from souls who have not fully crossed over. 4. The void, the great mystery. Some mystics and near-death experiencers describe encountering the void, a place of infinite potential and stillness. In Zen Buddhism, this aligns with nirvana, the dissolution of the individual self into the fabric of the universe. Could it be that each person's beliefs, consciousness, and state of mind determine what they experience after death? If reality is shaped by the observer, then death might not be the same for everyone. Instead, we may create our own afterlife, guided by our deepest truths and fears. What if death is just a shift in awareness? If death is not the end, but a transition, then what does that mean for the way we live? What if the real preparation for death is how we live today? What if our thoughts, actions, and emotions are shaping not just this life, but the next? And what if, by understanding the mechanics of death, we could unlock the true potential of life itself? In the next section, we will dive even deeper, exploring the hidden truths of what lies beyond, the power of consciousness in shaping the afterlife, and how we can prepare for the journey beyond the veil. The hidden truths of the afterlife. If death is not an end but a transition, then what really determines what happens next? Do we simply drift into an eternal light, or is there a structure, a system guiding our journey? Across ancient teachings, mystical traditions, and modern near-death experiences, we find a profound commonality. Consciousness is the key. The nature of your thoughts, emotions, and spiritual awareness at the moment of death may shape your afterlife. This idea is not just religious philosophy, it's a recurring theme in quantum physics, Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, and even modern neurology. Let's now go deeper into the hidden mechanisms of the afterlife, the forces at play, and what awaits beyond the veil. The afterlife as a spectrum. Different destinations for different souls. Many spiritual traditions describe not a single afterlife, but a vast, multidimensional reality. Your level of consciousness, your beliefs, and your attachments determine where you go next. The lower realms, the shadow of the mind, some near-death experiencers describe entering a dark, dense, and chaotic realm, one filled with lost souls, confusion, and suffering. This aligns with descriptions of the hell realms in Buddhism and Hinduism, the concept of purgatory in Christianity, and the shadowy underworlds of ancient mythologies. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, souls who are consumed by anger, greed, or fear may become trapped in lower frequencies, unable to ascend into higher realms. These realms are not punishments, but reflections of unresolved karma and mental states. Many NDE survivors describe escaping these dark places only when they let go of fear and embrace love and forgiveness. Could these be self-created realms, built by our own unresolved emotions? Or are they actual dimensions where lost souls wander until they awaken to their true nature? 2. The astral realm. The intermediate state. A significant number of near-death experiencers describe entering a world that is eerily similar to Earth, but lighter, more fluid, and deeply connected to thought. This aligns with the idea of the astral plane, a dimension described by Hindu yogis, Egyptian mystics, and even modern out-of-body experience (OBE) researchers. In this realm, thoughts create reality instantly. If you think of a place, you are there. Many souls describe seeing cities, temples, or vast landscapes of light. Some encounter guides, ancestors, or beings of wisdom who help them transition to higher states. Could this be a training ground, a temporary dimension where souls acclimate before moving onward? Many believe so. 3. The realm of light, returning to source. Perhaps the most profound experience described by those who have been to the other side is the encounter with the light. The light is often described as brighter than 1,000 suns but not blinding, radiating infinite love, intelligence, and recognition. Many describe merging with it, feeling as if they are returning home. Some say the light asks a single question: what have you learned? This corresponds with descriptions of God, the source, the absolute, or the ultimate reality, in countless traditions. Hinduism calls it Brahman, the infinite consciousness that underlies all things. Buddhists describe it as the clear light of nirvana, beyond all suffering. Christian mystics refer to it as the beatific vision, the pure presence of God. Could it be that all religious descriptions of heaven are simply different ways of explaining the same ultimate truth? The role of free will. Do we choose our next life? One of the most intriguing insights from near-death experiences in ancient texts is the idea that we are not helpless in the afterlife. Instead, we are given choices. Some souls choose to reincarnate, returning to Earth to complete unfinished lessons. Others choose to continue their journey in higher realms, learning and evolving in ways beyond human understanding. A few attain full liberation, dissolving into the infinite, free from the cycle of rebirth. This idea aligns with the concept of karma, not as punishment, but as a law of cause and effect. Our choices in life create vibrational imprints that shape where we go next. Even modern NDE survivors often say they were given a choice to return to life or move forward, suggesting that the afterlife is not a rigid system but an intelligent, interactive process. Parallel universes and multidimensional existence. A scientific perspective. In recent years, physicists have proposed theories that strangely mirror ancient spiritual teachings. The multiverse hypothesis suggests that we exist in an infinite number of parallel realities. Could it be that after death, our consciousness simply shifts to another dimension? Quantum mechanics tells us that the observer influences reality. Could it be that our afterlife is shaped by our beliefs, emotions, and consciousness? Near-death experiences suggest that time is an illusion. Many who return describe seeing past, present, and future simultaneously, something quantum physicists are only beginning to understand. Could death simply be a shift in perspective, a movement from one dimension of existence to another? What if we are already dead? Here's a thought. What if death is not an event, but a process? What if we are constantly dying and being reborn every moment, shifting between infinite realities? What if in some sense we have already died many times, but memory anchors us to the illusion of a single life? What if enlightenment is simply awakening to the fact that there is no real separation between life and death, only consciousness, moving fluidly between worlds? This idea is not new. The Tibetan Bardo teachings tell us that the only difference between life and death is perception. If we understood this deeply, we would no longer fear death. Instead, we would focus on awakening here and now, because this moment is just as real as any afterlife. If everything we've explored is true, then the question is, how do we prepare for death? Ancient teachings suggest that the way we live determines how we die. By cultivating awareness, compassion, and higher consciousness, we can shape our journey beyond this life. In the next section, we will explore practical techniques to navigate the afterlife, including how to consciously prepare for death through meditation and awareness, the role of lucid dreaming in practicing for the afterlife, powerful methods for raising your vibration and freeing yourself from lower realms. What if death is not an end, but an initiation into a higher reality? Let's explore how we can unlock the secrets of the afterlife and use them to transform our lives today. If death is a transition rather than an end, then how we live right now determines what happens next. Across ancient traditions, mystical teachings, and even modern scientific research, one truth emerges: the state of your mind at the moment of death shapes your afterlife experience. What does this mean for us? It means that preparing for death is not something to fear but something to master. The good news? You don't have to wait until your final moments to prepare. There are techniques, practices, and mindsets that can help you navigate this transition with clarity, peace, and even power. 1. Meditation. The art of dying before you die. One of the most powerful tools for afterlife preparation is meditation. In Tibetan Buddhism, monks practice phowa, the transference of consciousness, a method that helps them exit the body consciously at the moment of death. Hindu yogis teach mantra meditation to align their frequency with higher dimensions. Near-death experiencers often report that people who meditate experience smoother transitions into the afterlife. How to apply this practice? Stillness daily. Meditation teaches the mind not to cling, helping you detach from the fear of death. Focus on the breath. Ancient texts say that at death, the breath is the bridge between worlds. Controlling it now can help in the afterlife. Use visualization. Imagine your consciousness expanding beyond your body, dissolving into light. This mimics what many describe in NDEs. 2. Lucid dreaming, the training ground for the afterlife. What if the dream world is a practice field for death? In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is said that those who learn to navigate dreams can navigate the afterlife. Lucid dreamers have reported experiences identical to near-death experiences, floating, meeting guides, and traveling beyond physical reality. Science now confirms that lucid dreaming strengthens awareness even in unconscious states, which may help at the moment of death. How to apply this? Keep a dream journal. Writing down dreams strengthens awareness of the dream world. Perform reality checks. Throughout the day, ask, "Am I dreaming?" This trains your brain to recognize altered states. Set intentions before sleep. Before bed, tell yourself, "Tonight I will be aware in my dreams." This increases lucid dreams. Why does this matter? Because if we are conscious in our dreams, we may also be conscious after death. 3. Raising your vibration. Preparing for higher realms. If thoughts and emotions shape our afterlife experience, then it's essential to elevate our frequency before death. Those who experience blissful near-death experiences often report feelings of love, gratitude, and peace before dying. Those who enter lower realms often struggle with guilt, fear, and unresolved trauma. Ancient spiritual traditions emphasize that the key to a good death is to die with a light heart and an open mind. How to apply this forgiveness practice? Let go of resentment and regret. Carrying negativity may weigh the soul down. Gratitude rituals. Focus on what you love about life. The more gratitude you feel, the higher your vibrational state. Service to others. Acts of kindness and selflessness create positive karmic energy, which some believe influences the afterlife experience. 4. Near-death preparation, understanding, and accepting the transition. Many fear death because they don't know what to expect. But if we study what happens, we can prepare to navigate it like an explorer. What to expect at death? Based on ancient teachings and NDEs, a shift in consciousness. You will feel lighter, detached from your body. A tunnel, vortex, or passage. Many describe moving through a corridor of light. A life review. Your past actions will be revealed with full clarity. Encounters with beings of wisdom. Guides may appear to help you transition. A moment of choice. Many report being offered the decision to move forward or return. Knowing this in advance allows us to remain calm and open rather than fearful and lost. How to apply this? Learn about the afterlife. Reading about near-death experiences can remove fear of the unknown. Practice non-attachment. The less you cling to the physical world, the easier the transition. Mentally rehearse your death. This may sound unusual, but in Buddhist traditions monks visualize their own death to prepare for it with clarity. 5. The deathbed practice. How to help yourself or a loved one transition. When the moment of death comes, the right mindset and environment can profoundly impact the experience. How to apply this? Create a peaceful space, reduce noise, and bring in comforting elements, candlelight, soft chanting, or sacred music. Encourage deep breathing. Breath is the last connection to the body. Breathing deeply and calmly helps ease the transition. Focus on love, not fear. If guiding someone else, remind them you are safe, you are loved. Let go peacefully. Guide attention to the light. Many traditions teach that focusing on light, love, or a divine presence makes the transition easier. What if we lived with the awareness that death is simply an awakening to a greater reality? What if we saw life as a training ground for higher consciousness? What if we understood that who we are now determines where we go next? The ancient masters knew this truth, and they lived differently because of it. By preparing for death, we unlock a more profound way to live. What if the greatest illusion of life is the fear of death? For centuries, we have been told that death is the end, a terrifying void, an unknowable abyss. But as we have explored in this journey, the evidence from ancient wisdom, modern science, and near-death experiences all point to a different truth. Death is not an end but a transition, a doorway to another state of being. Consciousness does not die with the body, it moves, expands, and continues. The afterlife is not a single destination, but a vast spectrum of realities shaped by our thoughts, emotions, and awareness. Ancient civilizations were not just telling myths, they were preserving hidden knowledge about what awaits beyond the veil. What does this mean for us right now? If life is a preparation for what comes next, then the way we live matters more than we think. Every thought, action, and intention shapes not just this life, but our journey beyond it. Fear, anger, and attachment can keep us trapped in lower states, but love, wisdom, and self-awareness can open doors to higher realms. The ultimate truth: you are already more than your body. You are consciousness itself, merely experiencing this temporary existence. What if instead of fearing death, we used its knowledge to awaken fully in life? So here is the final question. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue to live as if life is random and meaningless? Or will you choose to awaken, to live with purpose, clarity, and an awareness that every moment shapes eternity? Practical steps. Moving forward, start a daily meditation practice. Train your mind to be aware in life and in death. Cultivate gratitude and forgiveness. Raise your vibration and free yourself from unnecessary burdens. Explore lucid dreaming. Learn to navigate altered states of consciousness now, so you are not lost when the transition comes. Study the afterlife further. The more you understand, the less fear will control you. Live with love and awareness, because in the end your actions and energy determine what happens next. Death is not the end. It is the beginning of something far greater. And now you hold the key to unlocking its mysteries. The question is, what will you do with it? If you found this video enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think happens after death? Let's continue this journey together.